So what's involved in a log home inspection we do? Well, we start every house by just simply coming out and taking a look. I like to do a quick walk around to get a basic idea of what I'm looking for and what to expect. After looking at the house and assessing it, then I'm gonna go through, measure it all up with my tape measure, take all of my measurements, and add up the square foot that we need for all the staining. What I'm looking for in the stain condition is how worn down it is, especially in the sun exposure on the shaded sides. So this side's a shaded side. The stain isn't that bad, but you can clearly see there's a lot of rot damage going on, so the stain is compromised. On these sunny sides, you can see here where the stain is starting to peel on the logs. Up above, we have some peeling over on the dormers over there. On this front side, you can see a lot more sun exposure. The stain is failing on these logs here. You can see it's peeled across the top side from sun exposure. So between the rot damage and the stain exposure, this house definitely needs a full sandblasting and restaining job. So as I walk around and assess the house, I especially pay attention on the bottom edges in these corners because that's where often the rot will happen. On the southwest sides where storms often blow around here is where a lot of damage will happen. This side you can also see a lot of sun exposure. The stain's just worn out, faded away. There is virtually no protection. I also inspect the caulking. You can see a lot of this caulking is failed. It's all separated. There's nothing that is, it's actually causing more harm than good because it's trapping moisture in the checks. So this whole house definitely needs to have all the caulking removed and redone as well. If your house has dormers or sidewalls on a roof line, it's imperative to actually get on the roof and take a closer look to see what's going on here. You can see on this wall a lot of sun exposure, stains worn out, a lot of rot damage, and I can explain several reasons why. One, this step flashing was not done tall enough. We'll actually end up installing new flashing over top of this. These logs should have been better protected. We like to have flashing a good 12 to 16 inches tall that will go along the roof line because all these logs have rot damage along that bottom edge. You can see there as well, rot damage. This whole area they've been trying to fix it or seal it up. It's cooked, so that's all damaged. These corners are gone. So we'll actually remove those corners and with green flashing, build flashing on the roof, up the logs, following the roof line all the way up and over. And the other side of the roof is the same type of dormer. You can see some damage here on this corner. It's getting black. So this wall definitely needs new flashing, and of course sandblasted and stained and addressed a couple of rot areas. Check around the corner. This isn't so bad. That's actually pretty good condition. It's a steeper roof. The weather doesn't blow against this wall as well, so doesn't need any flashing or rot repair. And this looks like log siding actually, the way it's capped over the shingles. That's probably log siding across there. I also always like to look at the gutters, see how the flow is, see if there's any water puddling up in there, make sure it has a good slope, that nothing is leaking, because the downspouts will often cause rot damage if the joints are leaking. If it's coming out between the fascia, it'll rot out between the fascia. It'll drip down here. Often these downspouts where the screws attach will get rotted out, but overall this house, the gutters are in pretty good shape and they are functioning correctly. You can see down here it's draining pretty good. We just had rain today, so there's going to be a little bit of puddling, but the gutters are functioning well and staying clean. You can see this flashing down here. It's causing some issues, so we want to have that flashing up higher and cap around the corner. Really tall walls like this, I like to look over real well, because this wall is over 20 foot tall. It has a tiny 2 foot overhang, not near enough coverage for a wall this big, so it does not have good protection. And it's pretty much guaranteed every time a wall like this is going to have some level of rot. And of course, I detect some across here. And the ways I can tell there's rot is, one telltale sign is checks and color. This one has tons of checks, tons of color. Then of course it's that hollow sound. This is what it sounds like with a rotten hole. Hollow. This is what solid log sounds like. So I always go through, tap all the wood. And I can tell where there's rotten spots. So this side's gonna have a couple face replacements, some checks up there. It's not completely rotted out. We can just repair the checks where it's a little bit soft. But surprisingly, overall, this wall is not in bad shape. So something else I look for is the landscaping and the grade of the land, because that's gonna dictate a lot of maintenance issues. And of course, this side, I'm surprised that it just wasn't noticed or known anyways. But all of this damage, pretty much the whole bottom 3 rows of this house are completely toast. And the reason why is, you can see here, they have an irrigation pipe for this landscaping. So clearly this pipe is just fanning water all over. And it's also evidenced with this green mildew. All the logs have a green mildew, and this is not a sunny side of the house. So coincidentally, between the moisture spraying and no sun on this side to help dry it out, it's just a mildewy, moldy mess that completely destroyed this whole side. So always check your grade of your land so the water slopes away. You don't have bushes growing tall, because these bushes more than likely grow tall as well and will trap moisture. And also your irrigation, to be certain it is not causing issues as well. You can see here on these corners there's some damage as well. So as I go through and measure up everything, my next step is going to be going in and taking pictures, and in detail I write all my dimensions and notes of where we need log replacement, so that way you know exactly what's included in your estimate. So you can see here I have the lengths and the marking endpoints of where we need to replace the logs on this side. I have the checks marked where the logs don't need necessarily be replaced, but there's some slight decay in the checks, so we need to clean out those checks. The log ends that have rot that will need replacement. So every wall and every corner we go through and mark it all out. On this side there was a couple logs discovered, and the chimney needs residing, so we'll replace the chimney. And you can see here the step flashing is marked out, rotten logs. All said and done, this process of doing a log home inspection for me takes anywhere from an hour to 2 hours depending on the severity. So once I get it measured up, I'm gonna go back, get all these notes and everything added up into our estimating program, and then we send it over to you as the customer, and then go over any details and questions you might have, and then get the deposit for our schedule, and then get this home all fixed up for you so you have another good amount of time with some maintenance-free living.